Happiness is a choice. Stop blaming others and start taking responsibility for all the decisions that you've made in your life. That's when my life changed. I was in an unhappy marriage, and when we divorced, I continued to blame him and stayed stuck in my unhappiness. When I took responsibility for my happiness and the decisions I made in my life and my hand in that relationship of what wasn't working, that's where the true freedom lies. I want that for you. And I hope that you can look at your life and take responsibility and be free.
Have you ever used the phrase, yeah, but? I did. No more. No more yeah, buts. That's an excuse. That's a red flag. Own your behavior.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh,
Can you
perfect.
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. How are you?
Good, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Because I see your work with Evan Carmichael and I follow you on Instagram.
Yes, thank you for that.
Yes.
And I'm excited to see you following along as well. And I love that you post, and excited to see all that as well.
Yeah, when I saw your first post, you went when you went to Evan Carmichael workshop.
Yes, that was the very first time I posted.
Very first, yes.
Yeah. So that's all new to me. I've been doing therapy for 19 years, but the posting part's new.
Okay.
So I've been doing the work for a long, long time, but I've not been showcasing it. So that was part of the workshop with Evan, was how do I show people the kinds of things that I do.
So I want to know your becoming story. So where you started, are you this confident person since your childhood, or
Since when? Sorry.
your childhood or in your college?
I would say there's kind of, I guess, two different types of confidence, right? So being confident in myself as a person, I would say yes. I had that at a younger age. And I moved to Canada. I was an immigrant. And I grew up in Ireland.
Okay.
And that move when I was 13 was a big part of me kind of knowing who I am and being in a culture that was different of my own, and kind of having to figure out a lot of things by myself. So I think I had a very strong spiritual background. And that was really, really helpful to me during the transition of moving countries. And I left behind my grandma and grandpa and my aunts and uncles and cousins and my cat and my plants and my swing set, and right. So leaving all of that behind, my childhood essentially, and having my teen years in a different country was challenging. So that, I think, helped me be very strong. I think I kind of always was. My parents say I was always a strong-willed child.
Awesome.
Yeah, but definitely my confidence in my work has been, as the years have gone on, and training has helped a lot with that.
Awesome. So you deal with different kinds of people. That also gives you positive energy.
Yes, for sure. And I think as the years have gone on, I'm much more careful about who I spend time with and what I do in my free time. And I'm much more intentional now than I've ever been in my life. But I think I've always had some basics that have been really helpful, like exercise and, a spiritual connection and being connected to my family. And I think those things have always been, and that's been really helpful to me my whole life, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw your website, and when I saw your work, you have that 18 years or 19 years of experience. I was like, wow.
Yeah, it adds up. But it's been really great. And, I absolutely love the work that I do. I can't imagine doing anything else. I love it so much. And there's so much to learn. And it's one of those fields that you can, there's so many different areas to explore in that I find it so exciting, and it's never boring because there's always different types of therapies to learn, like an alternative therapy, and then there's also just getting better and better at what you do, not even just learning new therapies, but how about getting really good at the therapies that you know. So anyway, but I love listening to people's stories, their life stories. And we're also the same, underneath it all. We all want to be loved. We all want to feel valuable. We all want to use skills. We all want to be acknowledged for that. And it doesn't matter what country or culture or, if you're male or female, or like, none of that matters. We're all the same underneath all that. And we express it in different ways, but I love seeing the common thread of humanity.
And like, why you choose especially this field of like sociology or psychology? Why?
So I volunteered from a really young age. My mom volunteered, my grandma. So I think that was a part of it. And then, like I said, the role is so varied. Like I teach in my role. I supervise students in my role. And studying the mind, it's always been a passion of mine. But I volunteered from a very young age. I volunteered at a psychiatric ward when I was 14. And I loved it. I found it really interesting. And I guess I learned at a young age what I was interested in, and then I stuck with it. And I just found it more and more and more and more interesting as I went. Yeah.
So you did like a different trainings.
Yeah, lots of different trainings. And I've certainly learned kind of like areas that I prefer to focus on. Like I love teaching. It's one of my favorite things about what I do right now. So
it's like you deal with different therapies. Like, what is your favorite one?
I don't have a favorite one. I'd say my favorite modality is, and not even like, I love teaching, but I also love one-on-one. I love groups. I love one-on-one. I love couples. I can't pick. I find it so interesting, the different roles. And when I work with couples, I love seeing how caring they can be to each other when they work through the struggle. And also when I work with them, I think that I'm helping a family. And so it's super meaningful. Yes. Yeah. Yes. I think a lot about the meaning behind my work and the impact that I have on people. And that's why I do it. I do it because to me, it matters. And I'm thinking of, the impact that I have on the people that I work with. Yeah. So because I have children and I go to work, and I think it has to be meaningful for me to go to work and do a job that matters. I can't just do something that to me doesn't matter and leave and not be with my children. So if I'm going to do it, I'm all in, and it has to be really good, and I'm going to give it the best that I have when I'm there. So
like, do you prefer money or satisfaction?
For sure, satisfaction, or I wouldn't be doing the work that I did.
Yes.
I know, it's not an area that you go into for money. It's not that I don't get, fairly well paid, but could I get paid more in other careers? For sure, I could. For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you deal with couple therapy. Like, how you start? When two couple came to you, and how do you counsel them with individually first, and what is the process you do?
So that really, really depends. It depends on what the situation is and what the issues are. So sometimes I might meet a couple, and I can tell from the get-go that there's some real struggles. Maybe one has past trauma, or there might be a certain reason why it might benefit them to have individual. But usually for couples, if they want to work on their relationship, it's couple work. So I would have both of them in. And when you're working with couples, it's really, really important that you only have them both present for all of the appointments, because
Okay. Yeah.
you're building trust, and you don't want one to know, you don't want one to feel like, you don't want them to think that feel like you're taking sides. And so your role actually is not to work with either person. Your role is to work with the couple as a unit. Yeah. So my client becomes the relationship between the couple, not either him or her.
Yes.
Or whomever the makeup is of the couple, whether it's two females or two males or whatever. Yeah. So it's the relationship between them. That's my client kind of thing. And then, you know, and again, the work with each couple is different. So with some couples, usually what I do is I use a lot of Dr. Sue Johnson's work for couple work, emotionally focused couples therapy. I love her work. It's attachment-based work with couples, and looking at how they reach for each other when there's struggles. That's one of the defining characteristics of a couple, that when they do well, they reach for each other. When they don't, they're not. So we work on helping them. How can they do that in a caring, loving way, right?
Yes. You said like your client is the relation between them. That's very important.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so great. It's so great to watch. I just find it so special.
Yes. And you also deal with like depression and anxiety. Like how one person, like how they would know when like they are going through anxiety or they are going through depression. Like what are the symptoms?
Okay. So the symptoms for anxiety are, they might have a lot of physical symptoms. So they might have headaches, they might have acid reflux, they might have irritable bowel. So like, you know, lower GI issues. They might have like heart palpitations. Sometimes they have panic attacks. Okay. So they feel like they're going through a heart attack, but it's actually just their body physically responding to an intense amount of stress. So they might have chest pains. They might have those types of symptoms, shortness of breath, just feeling very panicky, feeling so overwhelmed that they can't tackle problems. So that's anxiety. People that have anxiety are very motivated to get help. Okay. So they're probably the number one clients that we have, because they're super motivated to get rid of that feeling. So they come in, they're like early for their appointment. They maybe wrote out notes for you in advance. They've been thinking things through. They might have written out questions. Like they're that person, right? They're early. They're you know, they're anxious. Sometimes they're also people that don't eat a lot because they feel nauseous if they eat a lot, or they get too anxious to eat sometimes. So they're that person. So they're helpful to work with because they're so motivated to get rid of that feeling. So when you give them homework to do, they do it all the time, and they show up for their appointments, you know, so that's really, really helpful. The depressed client is one of the hardest clients to work with. Okay. So their symptoms it varies. That it depends on the level of depression, but they slip into depression. So it's not something that typically you can see overnight, right? Okay. Where with anxiety, it's something I think that is more outwardly identifiable for the anxious person, but for the depressed person to see it themselves, that's more difficult. People around the depressed person need usually to point it out to them and to say to them, you know what, like you're not doing well. So it's things like they stop doing things they love to do. Okay. They might cry more. They tend to withdraw more, so they would be more social. They might do things like not answer the phone anymore. Say no to invitations. So they get asked, do you want to go to the movies? Do you want to go for coffee? And they say no. They might have volunteered. They might call in sick more to work. They might sleep a lot more. They might be in bed a lot more, even if they're not sleeping. They might do a lot of like lying on the couch. They might eat more or less.
Okay.
With sexual intimacy, they're less interested. With you know, socializing, like I mentioned, less interested in doing that. So they withdraw, and they just sort of tend to keep more to themselves. So
like, is it yeah, please go ahead.
No, that's okay.
Like, is it self-recognizable? Like, they can recognize themselves, like they are going through depression, or like
that depends. Like I said, a lot of times I think they struggle to see that in themselves, because it tends to be slower. It's not you know, something happened. Sometimes it is like, you know, maybe they got through a car accident that was bad, and then they're recovering, and then they don't really recover, or not, or it's very slow. And so people say to them, you know what, I think that you might be depressed. It can get to the point where people stop doing self-care. So they might stop showering or not shower very often. I think probably the worst part with depression, so they're not motivated to seek help. And they feel exhausted, and everything is hard for them. So they might used to run, right?
They close themselves.
They're closed themselves, and things that they used to do easily. And they can be like really functional, high functional, successful people. The same with anxiety. I mean, mental health knows no bounds. So it doesn't matter who you are, what your ethnicity, what your gender. But so, you know, it might be somebody who was very outgoing before, and now it's hard for them to have a conversation. Like it becomes, you know, it takes over for them. And so that's difficult to get them motivated to come out and seek help, and also to follow through, because they don't feel like going to appointments, and they don't feel like going out in the cold. And so it's very hard for them to force themselves, which is so different from anxiety, where they're early, right? The depressed person cancels a lot. And yes. So it's very, very different. Yeah. And sometimes people have both.
Okay. Anxiety and depression.
Anxiety and depression. Yeah. So it's tricky. So with depression, so exercise is a fantastic way to deal with both anxiety and depression. With anxiety, it helps people kind of get rid of that anxious energy, and, you know, again, it releases natural endorphins, and they feel better about themselves. So that helps with the anxious person. With the depressed person, again, it releases the natural endorphins. But so for depression, when they did a 9-month study, they had a group of depressed people take just medication, and a group do just exercise, and the exercise group fared better. Over the 9 months, although both did better. With the exercise group did better than before, and the medication group did better than when they came in originally. But I think one of the issues that I see a lot of times with depressed patients is medication can be really helpful. Because when they first come in, if they're really depressed, they're not energetic enough and motivated enough to come to appointments. So that's where the medication can help, or to go to the gym. Whereas if they have that intervention of medication, they now have enough motivation to come in for appointments and to get treatment. Like it's like
it's like a starting step for them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there's still work to do, but it helps.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you do that first step, then it will go.
It helps. Yeah.
Yes, it helps.
Yeah.
So, like, what's the difference between sadness and the depression?
So usually it's persistent and over a prolonged period of time. So sadness, like with grief, it would be a normal reaction. We should be sad. It would be normal to be sad, and, you know, it would be normal to cry, and it would be normal that it would take a while. But if it's over a really, really prolonged period of time, and if it's more intense, and so it's persistent, then that
it's a depression.
One of the symptoms of depression. But it wouldn't just be sadness. It would be other factors too.
Okay.
Other symptoms as well. Yeah.
Like what you recommend, like a simple exercise they can do to overcome anxiety?
Well, in general, with depression and anxiety, a couple of things that are helpful. One is gratitudes.
Mm-hmm.
So the research shows that if you do gratitudes every day,
Mm-hmm.
three things that you're grateful for, if you write it down, that you will be 25% happier by changing nothing else in your life. And so, I mean, I do that. I practice what I preach. So I have a gratitude journal at work and at home.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's just a dollar store journal and a pen. But the point of it is it trains your brain to hyperscan for things to be grateful for. And so it shifts your thinking. So at the beginning, it can be very, very hard. And, you know, in therapy, when I say this to patients, I say to them, you know, I understand hearing this right now might be really hard for you to hear this. And it might seem insensitive from where you're at in life, right? If you're really struggling and I'm saying, hey, you know, can you write down 3 things you're grateful for?
Mm-hmm.
They feel like, no, there's nothing I'm grateful for right now, right? They're like, I hate my life and I'm sad and miserable and I can't think of one thing, right? Mm-hmm. And I've had that when I've worked with people.
Uh-huh.
So it's hard to say to them, you know, this is one of the best strategies, and yet it is one of the best strategies. So I say to them, please take this with a grain of salt. And we practice it in session. So I'll say, let's look at today. You know,
Mm-hmm.
even give me one thing. Like they might be drinking a coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say,
yes.
well, you know, you got to stop at Tim Hortons and you got a coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Or they might have a really warm coat on when they came into session. You know, there's snow out here where I'm at. And, you know,
and
I might
smile.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
So I might say, well, you know, you had a warm coat when you came in today. You know, maybe that's something to be grateful for. You know, sometimes they'll say, I'm grateful I had a counseling appointment, you know, or I'm grateful I have someone to talk to, you know, but so initially it's difficult. But what's fascinating is that the brain shifts and it starts to build these other neural pathways and connections in the brain. And so your thinking pattern alters, and it's fascinating to see how people are able to shift their mood by this one strategy. So gratitude is one, self-talk is another. So we speak to ourselves very, very critically. Self-talk is so important. So speaking kindly to yourself, being compassionate to yourself. So I'll do like a compassion meditation, putting your hands on your heart and speaking to yourself really kindly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Like what kind of words you use? Like
so I never have a pre-written script. I always do it from the heart, I guess.
Okay.
But so I can usually sense sort of intuitively and from the conversation with the person where they're at. And so I speak to that. I'll use
gratitude and
I'll use like words to describe where they're at in their life right now and speak kindly to that. And that can be really, really powerful for them. So I recently just did that. I had a group of 80 professionals and I did a day-long workshop for...
Yeah, I saw a post on your Instagram. Yes.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. But it was really, really great. And at the very, very end of the day, so it was after 4:00 on a Friday. We were supposed to be done. We were a few minutes. I was so excited. I had so much to share that we were a little bit over, and they all stayed, which like that was awesome right there because they were free to go. But so we did a self-compassion exercise, and it was so beautiful. I opened my eyes just before the end, and I just saw the room, you know, of 80 people with their hands in their heart. Not everybody had their hands in their heart, but most people did.
Most people, yeah.
Yeah, and their eyes closed, and they just were feeling it, you know, and the whole room, I could feel the energy of the room. It was such a beautiful thing.
So, like, what is, you deal with many, many clients, like, what is the best experience that you remember?
Well, I guess, like everybody has good qualities. And I never see people in black and white. I see people in gray. People have strengths and they have areas that they struggle in, and that's everybody. That's everybody. And, but like my favorite clients, I guess, are the clients I get to see make the most progress.
Okay.
Because it's so exciting. You know, it's so exciting to see people transform before my eyes. And it's such a gift to me. I feel so privileged to get to experience that. You know, I get to see that all the time. I get to see people change, and I get to see their progress right in front of me. And to be part of that, you know, is really exciting. So I'll get to see people, you know, come in bad situations and then like get their degree and be a professional. And, you know, work alongside them. Like it's amazing.
Yeah. They treat you as your family, like as their family members, because you are helping them to become, to become their best version.
Become their best version. And that's such a beautiful thing to see people become their best version. I just love it.
And like I also suffered with like a back pain for 2-3 weeks.
Okay.
I don't want to take medication. Then what I did is, like, I saw Lilima doing a starting meditation on YouTube live. So I started doing meditation with her.
Good.
Yes.
Awesome.
And I did it like continuously for 25 days. And yes. And on the first day, I noticed, like, I concentrated where actually my pain is.
Okay.
And I started breathing while meditation. That gave me so much relief.
Beautiful. I love it.
Yes.
So you are so persistent, and I know that you are going to do well because of that, because you keep striving and you keep pushing, and that's a really, really good quality. So I'm excited to see where you're going to go, because I know that you're on the road to going places. So, and
I have one more question, because like when I talk to new person, or when I talk to big people like Evan, or like any other influencers or any other new people, I feel a pain in the back, in the middle of. So after, like, when I'm talking, I'll get that pain, but after finishing the talk, I'll breathe. I'll take like a deep breaths. Then I'll get some relief. Is there any reason for that, or like why?
That's hard to say. I know that you exercise daily, so that's a wonderful thing. How do you feel when you're exercising?
Like, I don't do any physical exercise, but I walk a lot.
You walk, yeah, that's physical exercise. How do you feel when you're walking?
I don't feel any pain. I feel like fresh and energized.
Yeah. So it could be the posture of when you're sitting, right?
Okay.
But in general, I would just, I mean, it sounds like you have some strategies that work. So I would keep changing things up a little bit to see, are there times when you're pain-free and you're sitting? So can you sit, like there's that big rubber ball people sit on at my work sometimes for their back, because it strengthens their back muscles. I would see if you can do some exercises that are specific to your back strengthening. Okay. But I'm not a professional in that regard. So exercise, I love it. And I do it. I did mine this morning at 5:15 at the gym. But I can't, like, I don't want to give you specific exercises. I'm not the right one to do that.
I don't feel like all the time that pain, but especially when I'm talking to new people or.
Oh, okay.
So I feel that pain.
So it's when you're talking to new people. So it might be a little bit of anxiousness, right?
Okay.
It could be, if you find that it's when you're talking to new people. So I think just breathing through it, even while you're on set, like right now.
Mm-hmm.
And also I would be doing a lot of self-talk before the session. So I would be saying things like, I've talked to new people before. New people are nice. New people like me. I'm a likable person. I'm capable. I'm interesting to meet.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel good. I feel energetic. My back feels good. I feel strong. I would be saying all those things before.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
to help.
thank you, Krona. I don't want to spend more time, but like,
You're welcome. I'm happy to do this again. So, you know, I'm happy to answer any questions you have or talk to you about whatever. So
because free. Like I know you, like I'm following you from that workshop itself, like from the first day.
Yeah. Are you going to the next one?
I want to, but there is an issue with my visa thing. So I'm from India actually. So
okay. Well, I hope you get there. I hope you get there. If not the next one, then one day soon. And Evan is so nice. He is so genuine, and he is like, he's like the guy next door, like a sweet, you know, interesting, intelligent, really nice person. Like, I think that's what strikes me the most about Evan. And it's so easy to spend time with him and also to trust him because he's so genuine, you know. There's nothing fake about him, which is so nice because you don't get to see that, I think, as much in people that are successful. So it's really nice to meet someone who's just genuinely nice and kind. And yeah, so I really hope you do get to meet him in person. I'm sure you will. It's just a matter of when.
Yes, I'm planning to meet him in his like a tour right now.
Oh yeah. That's good.
So like I thought of going to Tulsa or St. Louis yesterday or on 30th, but I'm going to India on February 1st. So
well, I hope it happens soon, but I'm sure it will, because if you want it, and I know you're persistent, then it will happen, right?
Yes, I'm planning in March or April.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to the Detroit one in April, so if you make it to that one, I'll see you there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Krona. Thank you for sharing your story.
You're welcome, and I wish you the best, and keep going.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care of yourself.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
No, it's okay. I'm videoing you. This is the practice.
Videos in slow motion with like crumbs falling down.
Perfect. Yeah.
So then once I have a marketing agency.
Okay.